Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS World 2.9.0 and Heat Blur Simulations AJS37 Viggen module. Welcome to Tutorial 3, Landing. Today I'm going to demonstrate a standard visual approach to land in the Viggen. And as such, we'll start off in the cockpit. We're going to be following the excellent Kneeboard that we were using in the previous tutorial, created by Minky182. And actually, there's quite a lot of referencing the Kneeboard in the process of this tutorial. It is also possible to do a fully TILS based approach, a fully instrument-based approach. We're not going to do that today, but I will demonstrate that in a future tutorial. I will touch, though, on correctly programming the TILS in the event that you do need it. So, first things first, let's actually flip back a couple of pages. You'll notice that you do have a bit in your Kneeboard called air bases, and in most maps this is going to be multiple pages, so you note that at the bottom it'll say insufficient space to list all the air bases, and then right shift and the page up and down buttons will actually allow you to flip through all of these. Now I believe I need page 5 for Akrotiri. That's the airfield we're going to land at, and the most important things to note here are the reference number in brackets. This is the number that you need to program into your CK37 computer in the event that it wasn't correctly programmed in the mission editor or in the mission file. In this case, I've actually intentionally incorrectly programmed it so that we'll have to manually do that. The TILS channel used for this airfield is channel 4. There's the frequency for that as well, and then also the main frequency for the tower, I think this is. We'll quickly program that up just so we have it. Main radio on the Viggen is here on the left side, and this outer, kind of further out knob, I guess it's actually the inner knob in fact, does the hundreds and tens of megahertz, and then this little one at the base, I guess the outer one, does the digits, and then same thing for the decimal here as well. So I'm going to run this down to 0, this one down to 0, and that's that correctly tuned. You've also got the FM AM selector there. So yeah, I've already written down all of this information, so I'm actually going to flip straight to the Kneeboard here, and oh, no, not take off, we want landing. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to confirm that the CK37 has the correct airbase planned as its return airbase. Now this is actually quite important because it does affect a whole load of functionality in the aircraft, not least of which the barber pole, because the system needs to know what airfield you're actually intending to land at for the barber pole to be correct. Actually, before I continue, let's put the RWR in lights only mode. It's being a bit noisy. I'm also going to make sure, for some reason, a bunch of my lights are not on. This is an air start, so I'll turn all of the correct lights on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the landing airfield. So with actual position selected on the computer and navigation master mode selected on the left console, you can see here that currently I've got waypoint 1 selected. If I press the L-MAL button, that will then switch between landing field 1 or my alternate of landing field 2. In this case I want landing field 1, however I happen to know that this is wrong. The L1 position that I have today is incorrect. So how do we fix that? Well, as the Kneeboard actually tells us, we can put the system into Ref Lola mode, where we can edit our references. We want to switch it into input mode, and then we want to type in that reference number that we got from the airfields. And in the case of Akrotiri, it's 90044. So we can enter 90044, and then we have to press L-MAL. Normally press the LS SKU, but for landing fields you have to press L-MAL, and then you'll see it zeros, and you may have noticed that the range to the currently selected waypoint jumped, and additionally the barber pole dropped a lot because of course we're far closer to this than we were previously. So we're now going to switch back to output mode and back to actual position, and that would be us ready to do an approach. Now, one other thing though we want to check is we want to check that the selected landing heading is also correct. So we can do this by putting the computer into Bana Grens mode, and you can see here the first 4 digits are the expected heading. So it's the actual digits are the first 3 in the window. Fourth number in the window is the decimal place in degrees, and then the last 2 digits are the TILS channel. So 04 is in fact correct for Akrotiri, we have no problem there, but 111 is incorrect. We're intending to land on runway 28 today, so what you can do is you can press the L MAL button again while in this mode to flip-flop between the 2 runway headings. So it's now showing us 2910, which in fact is correct for that runway, and it's still confirming to us runway 04. So we've done that. We've pressed the button. So we've selected the inverse heading, and we can now put the system back into actual position, and we can flip back and forth. You see that the L is flashing. It's just confirming to us that we've actually modified it from the default setting. So that's nothing to worry about. So with that done, we now need to make sure that QFE is correctly set. We're actually going to be using the radar altimeter in the HUD. However, it is good for your main and standby altimeters to be correctly set as well. I happen to know that QFE at Akrotiri today is 1013 hectopascals. So let's just make sure that in both the altimeters it's correctly set. So HUD position lever, we now need to make sure that the HUD is in the low position. That's used for takeoff and landing, just like that. Thrust reverser, we are going to use the thrust reverser today, so let's pre-arm it. We pull the lever and confirm that we get a green light for thrust reverser. The SLAV SI, HUD slave mode, needs to be on. It's on in the right position. The altitude selector needs to be to the left for radar. So we've got that correctly set as well. Landing gear, we can lower any time below 600 kilometers an hour. I'll not do that just yet. And the taxi landing light switch, it's hidden away. I've got it set on my HOTAS, but if you want to see where it is, as before, it's hidden all the way down here. You want it all the way forwards, and that puts it into the landing light position. Middle is off, and all the way towards you is the taxi light position. So we're going to push it all the way forwards as of just now for landing light, and then we're going to go to a visual approach. So for a visual approach, we start off in nav master mode, which we in fact are. You then make sure that you've got L1 or L2 selected. We have L1, which is our intended one, and it's flashing, so I know that it's got the correct heading. Follow the steering cues in the HUD or the ADI to line up with the extended runway. Actually, yeah, it also tells us at the beginning, put the radar mode to A1. So this is a good thing to do because it means the central display will actually show you a bunch of guidance on how to line up with the runway. It gives you an extended center line and so on. So flip that. There we go. We now have the radar up, and with the radar up we have a circle around the center of the airfield and a line projecting our selected heading. Let's actually just flip the scale selector here. It's 30 kilometers, 15. Let's leave it on 30 for now. That'll do fine. So we now have the guidance on the central display. That's looking nice. We want to follow our steering cues in order to line up correctly. And we want to maintain an airspeed of 550 kilometers per hour. Also, I'm probably a little bit high right now. I'm going to... actually, no. We'll maintain this altitude for now. So everything's good. We're going to continue to navigate towards the airfield, and once we get to 10 kilometers, I'm then going to get fully configured for the actual approach. And you'll see, landing and touchdown information we've got here as well. Maintain a maximum AOA of 12 degrees. This is very, very important. And in this approach, I'm also going to use Automatisk Fart Control, which is the auto throttle system. That actually just makes things slightly simpler for us. So, out of active pause, we have the correct landing field selected. I'm going to bring the throttle back and get us below 600 kilometers per hour. I'm also going to maneuver left, actually, to line up with the extended center line. Go. We can, during the approach, we're monitoring our distance to the airfield. We're at 20 kilometers now, and fuel remaining. I'm at about, what is that, 40%? I've got about 40% fuel. That's perfectly fine. There we are at 550 kilometers per hour on the airspeed indicator, so I'm throttling up just a touch. Important thing to note during the landing is that when you lower the gear, the Viggen at that stage automatically deploys the flaps. Those two systems are linked. So just be aware that when you extend the landing gear, you're going to get a little bit of a balloon. That's fine. Okay, so we're at 340 meters on the altimeter. You can see that here. That feels kind of not too bad. I'm going to let it continue to come down, and I'm going to begin my lineup now. That looks about time to do it. Just flip that range selector on the HUD down a little bit. I may have gone through the center line, but that's okay. We'll improve the alignment. Yeah, I've gone through the center line, actually. I was too busy yammering away. Anyway, we're approaching 10 kilometers now, so gear down. And with that, we're actually going to go into the landing master mode. So master mode all the way to the right. I'm actually going to pause there. Note that on the master mode selector, there are in fact two landing modes. There's landing nav, which will put you into the instrument mode and turn on TILS, or there's the landing P/O mode, which is the visual approach mode. That's the mode we're going to use today. Also, we can confirm here on the left-hand warning panel that we've got 3 green on the undercarriage, so undercarriage is down at this time. Coming out of pause. Now going to go auto throttle on. And that will bring the throttle back. Going to pause again. And if we just look over our left-hand shoulder here, you can see that we've got 2 levers on the back wall in the down position. This is landing gear, so landing gear is in the down position. Auto throttle lever is also in the down position, so you can visually confirm that those systems are both on. You also have AFK indicated on the autopilot panel here. It has a push button to put it into a special high angle of attack mode. We're going to use the normal angle of attack mode, where it's going to target 12 degrees angle of attack. So, with that done, we can come out of pause. And what we want to do now is we want to get the reference dot on the descent line at the beginning of the runway, and we then want to line up our flight path marker with the same. So we're actually quite fast at this stage, so I want to fly right a little. You can see the dot is coming into view. That's good, and we're going to bring it left so that the flight path marker and the reference dot are basically together. That's the speed coming off. I'm going to pause very quickly. The HUD is also giving us some additional information. So I want to try and get this reference dot aligned with the runway, and ideally the reference dot should really be at the start of the runway. Sadly, I'm much too fast and I've messed this up a little bit. Once I'm happy with my approach, I then want to get the flight path marker on the dot as well. You'll note that the fin is detached from the flight path marker. This is the same indication that we get when we're too fast for a time on target for a particular waypoint. However, what the system is telling us right now is that we're too fast on the approach. So what we ideally want is to slow down enough that that fin reattaches with the flight path marker. And the whole way down, keep in mind that you want to be trimming just to make your job easier. 100 meters on the radar altimeter. This is going to be a kind of long touchdown, but that's okay. And we're going to get some additional indications once we're at 15 meters above the runway. Speed is still coming off. 30. 20. Oh, okay. We touched down without it ever reading the 15. Anyway, let's throttle up now. And we're on the thrust reverser. Going to give it quite a lot of thrust reverser because we're going quite fast. We're looking for the transonic warning light. It's on. That means that we should reduce throttle to idle and come on the brakes. We can disengage the reverser at this point. And that, although I landed absolutely late, that was not terrible. That was a somewhat acceptable landing. So at this stage, thrust reverser is disengaged. AFK lever comes off, although it had already automatically disengaged. You would note that the red light was out. And we also want to turn off the radar. So Radar, oh, actually, no, we need this. We need to switch it back to BER for standby master mode. Then the radar goes to A0 position, and that means it will stop emitting. It means once we go to taxi off the runway, we're not going to be irradiating any of the ground crew. And that is the complete touchdown procedure. We are now ready to taxi back to the ramp and shut down. So yeah, I did my best. Initial approach, as I said, should be 550 kilometers. I'm usually starting my approach at about 300 meters, 10 kilometers, but that's, that can vary. And that was the touchdown using the thrust reverser as well, and the auto throttle. I'll give you a quick replay of the actual touchdown, but yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, or comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. So, I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help for me and for the channel. Also, if you'd like to further support the channel, you have the option of joining Deephack's ground crew. Big shout out to those of you who've already done so. Your names are on screen now. Thank you ever so much. There are some small benefits. You get to join Deephack's ground crew Discord server, and we're also looking at, on occasion, doing flights together. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.